As I'd been progressing through the story of Lamang Island pretty quickly, I could tell my time in Kayuvangsa was about to come to an end. It was almost time to move on to other areas of the map, but before that, however, I couldn't stop wondering what contents had been locked away in all those rooms that required keys, and more importantly, how they could possibly help me on later quests. Our story starts with boarding a helicopter at our main base just outside of the city. I intended on starting my push from a remote rice field just southeast of my objective, slowly making my way into the dangerous city. The plan was to make a quick drop at the local car repair shop and complete the quest given to me by Labrat, then quickly scout around and loot the surrounding area, hoping to find some keys to the aforementioned rooms. If I would have known the jumbled mess the day would have become, I would have just moved on after my mission. The way I'm taking is one of the best places to infiltrate the city from. Generally, there is only 1 to 2 guards that spawn here, and from there, then you're able to quickly make your way into the very heart of the city and its markets with plenty of cover in between. I could tell someone had been through here recently based on all the bodies. I had hoped that maybe whoever had gone through here was lazy and had not looted any of the bodies yet, so that I could hopefully find a key. Sadly, all that was left was basic cash and 7.62 ammunition that you would normally get on these thugs anyways. Progressing down the street, however, the atmosphere seemed different. There was a repeating message being broadcasted over the speakers in different languages, one of which sounded like Russian. I found it unusual seeing that we were in an island on the South Pacific, but wondered if that meant something for later on in the story. Moving further down the road, almost immediately I had started encountering much higher levels of resistance than what I would usually expect taking this route. I'd wondered if it had anything to do with the broadcast. Luckily, I made it through with only some minor injuries and bleeding, but it would set the tone for what to expect in the coming hours as I progressed.
Attention. Due to the deteriorating safety conditions in the immediate vicinity, a full-scale evacuation.
During my pillaging, however, I did finally come across one key card to the local town hall. I was pretty excited actually. I knew there was a safe, but had never managed to find the code to it. I figured after making a quick drop at the local repair shop, I would swing by and try again. As you can see, although there were only minor injuries so far, I quickly burnt through what bandages and gauze that I did have, leaving me to resort to tourniquets, which is an okay solution depending on the situation, but quickly became annoying over time, just hearing the constant heavy breathing and groaning coming from my character. Additionally, it had me feeling more vulnerable, knowing the only thing saving me was a couple of tourniquets if it really came down to it. I really started debating if I should press on after the drop or return to the camp. I didn't know it at the time. My choice to push on would slowly unravel into an unfortunate series of mistakes. I kept getting lucky, however, finding all kinds of treasures as I made my way further into the rat's nest of Kayuvangas. Eventually, after the detour, I finally made it to the car repair shop. Things at this point were pretty good. For the first time since the beginning of this poorly planned excursion, there was surprisingly very few people to be seen. Dropping off the package for Labrat finally, I figured I would start making my way back to base Camp Lancer, restock on supplies, and since I would have to fight anyone in or around the town hall anyways, might as well take a stab at trying to find the code to the safe again, since I finally had the keycard to the room. Strangely, upon my arrival to the town hall, I was once again met with dead bodies. I suppose this would be considered lucky seeing my current state of medical supplies and injuries, but wondered if someone else was following a very similar path to my own. Either way, since I was here, I was going to get the code to the safe. This was the first locked container I'd found that required a code, and presumed there had to be something really good in it if it was in a locked room too. After wasting close to 30 minutes, I accidentally found it on the desk upstairs. For those that don't know, the box to activate it is very small, and you almost have to know it's there. I was annoyed because I had been here before and looked at the very note countless number of times, never managing to actually stumble over the actual box to activate it. But with great relief, I finally made my way back downstairs to uncover the treasures inside. And after all that time wasted, this was what I got inside. I suppose it's not bad considering up till this point I hadn't died, but still felt like a huge waste of time. With my inventory almost full and slowly falling apart, it was finally time to drop all this off. The journey back was uneventful, but when I had arrived as I was unpacking, reorganizing, and patching myself back together, I did experience something you would rarely if ever come across in a game like this. I started hearing gunshots right next to me, which isn't unusual in itself, but I go to exit my PDA, and some random guy just gave me this upgraded AK for free. I know what people may say about the AK, going through different gun builds on Reddit for gray zone warfare, but I would argue with most general engagements they make more sense until later in the game. Anyway, I got back to moving stuff around in my inventory when, once again, I started hearing gunshots, and this time he is dropping good ammo in a 3A++ plate carrier. May not seem like much to most people at the time being in a starter village. This was game changing. Admittedly, I'd started getting a little cocky about it and decided to take another run through the town to find more keys. I quickly found out how devastating this gun was with the low-level thugs, mowing them down one by one as I moved deeper into the town. Then all of a sudden, without realizing it, my internet dropped out and this happened. No matter though, luckily I had gone far enough through the town that I was pretty close to another outpost that I quickly could spawn from and get my stuff right. I generally didn't like going this way though, knowing there was a lot more places enemies could hide. Mistakenly, still being on my prior high of mowing down one enemy after another, my big brain self decided not to bring a plate carrier since I was right there and could save the space. Well, once again, I died, and this happened. Yep, can't loot my body, too old. It was truly devastating, seeing all my stuff right there in front of me, and yet I couldn't have it. I get why the game does it, but it also is frustrating that a game based on realism, and I can't even loot my own corpse. At this point, I decided to cut my losses since I was unarmored and without medical supplies. Encountered some pot shots on the way back and didn't want to engage since lack of armor. Thinking I could make it back to the camp before bleeding out and safely extracting. As you can see, I died right outside of the camp, which in itself isn't really that big of a deal, but is to me the icing on the cake with how my day had gone. I quickly grabbed what was left and returned to camp, hoping to start again tomorrow. I'm curious to see if this string of events has happened to anyone else before. Have you guys ever ran across someone that just gives you all this high tier loot and then you go and lose it all moments later? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, check out my channel. I normally cover a lot of how-tos and tips and trick videos on tactical shooters, but wanted to try something more story-driven this time. I'll be turning this into a series, so if you enjoyed yourselves, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching.